Well, here we are back on VP4 for some more of the VP4 Tembo World Championships. We have a match scheduled for the top of the hour, which is about 23 minutes away, which is a one-loss side match between Potman and Bedhead, race to 10. But this match on the bracket here has appeared, one that I never noticed. They must have arranged it tonight, but I never noticed it on the bracket. But this one started at 8 o'clock, so it's been on for 40 minutes. We're going to pop in. Well, I thought it started at 8 o'clock. Let me have a look. Let me have a look at the bracket. Yeah, Mr. Nine Ball and one what? According to this, it's 8 o'clock it started, but it's been on for 40 minutes. So there must have been, somebody must have been waiting and somebody arriving. Must have been a bit of a delay. I don't know what's happened with this match. As I say, I never noticed it on the bracket. But we're only into the third rack, so clearly this 30-minute timeout at the start of a match must have been well used, because to have played the match for 40 minutes and only have 3 racks, it's been going really, really slow. So I presume there was a late arrival. But as I say, I never noticed. Good evening, welcome. Right, what's going on here? I think we need one of the admin to sort this out. Whatever's going on. It would have been handy if I'd been in earlier to find out what the beef was about between these two. But as I say, I'm not getting involved. That's up to one of the admin to get involved. So this is a one-loss side match, race to 10, alternate breaks, and clearly there's been a bit of a fallout. There's been a bit of a fallout between the two players. Mr. Nineball seems a bit upset for whatever reason. You tried to make me forfeit the match, and again you proved your dishonesty. I got nothing good to say to you. Well, as I say, the match should have started at the top of the hour. There's been a big delay for whatever reason, and we don't know what that reason is, so we can only speculate on what the problem was. But clearly Mr. Nineball has got a chip in his shoulder about something. Well, we won't be sticking with this match. Potman has arrived, and Potman, I presume, will be getting some practice in for his match with Bedhead at the top of the hour, which is about 19 minutes away. We've got Mr. Nineball leading by 2 racks to 1. I hadn't planned to start the stream until 9 o'clock, until Bedhead and Potman arrive. Now I'm wishing I hadn't started it. gives me time to check I've got everything working okay. Well, I don't know what the issue is. Obviously, Mr. Nineball thinks that Juan was up to something untoward, and I basically don't think that he is. I mean, if he says that he just entered the lobby and then he just seen his proposal, then he just accepted it. I don't know whether he accepted it. I presume he accepted it there and then. The fact that Mr. Nineball is here, so I don't know whether Mr. Nineball saw the proposal in an email and then had to arrive. Maybe that's what he's complaining about, that he didn't get decent notification, and maybe Mr. Nineball assumed that Wanwa wasn't going to accept that time, and then at the last minute he saw the email, so he had to rush in here. So that's maybe what he's maybe a bit miffed about. I don't know. I'm only trying to put two and two together and come up with some sort of answer. But Mr. Nineball's taking it the wrong way. So it's Wanwa with a chance to square the match. Good angle to come off the rail out across the 9, and he's hit that too soft. Now that needed to be over by another 1.5 feet over to the left hand side. Well, the match is underway, so there's no way to stop the match now, and I don't think it'd be worthwhile wrecking the bracket or risking causing problems with the tournament setup to start messing about with a match that's already underway. I don't think Steve would be happy about that. The tournament is running okay at the moment, and no NRT tournament that we've done so far has gone trouble free. This one up until now is trouble free, so I think any inclination to mess about with it is not advisable. That is miasma, Potman. Presumably Bedhead's, has he arrived yet? So Mr. Nineball has stole the rack. Has a 3-1 lead. Oh well, he's got 30 minutes to get into the room after 9 o'clock. Now, I said earlier on tonight, Potman, that your goal in this match is to get at least 5 racks and don't play numpty shots. That is your goal. Get 5 racks, and anything above that is a bonus. But don't gift them. That's the best advice I can give. And play sensibly. And Bedhead will make mistakes. He will make mistakes. That's how he ended up in the one-loss side. So we're going to have, well, this is a match I wasn't expecting tonight. We're going to have the Potman Bedhead match, hopefully. And we have possibly 3 matches tomorrow to live stream on Super Saturday. Well, the dog's been at the vet, you've got the cold. mean, I used to actually play. I used to play better when I had a streaming cold in VP4. I don't know why. I've been on VP4 when I've been off work and my nose has been dripping, and I've actually played quite good. Well, one was left that one a wee bit short as well. And he just managed to squeeze it in. So it's back to within one. As I say, we're watching this match for the time being until Potman and Bedhead get underway at 9 o'clock, which is now about 11 minutes away. But there could be a delay on that one, and then of course it's getting to my bedtime. So goodness knows how I'll be once this match starts. No, alcohol and focusing doesn't work when you're playing pool. Well, I haven't had any alcohol touch my lips for goodness knows how long. I can't remember the last time I had a drink. De Purn is a real surname, is it? Never heard anything like that. Good evening. Welcome again. This is not the featured match. This is a match that we've had a little bit of controversy about. We don't know what the real reason is, but there's been a bit of a fallout between the two players, and it started supposedly at 8 o'clock, but say there's been problems. That sounds like it originated in India, that name. Now, I think that's just, no, maybe not. I don't. It is an extremely thin cut to even risk it, and of course the 7 and 8's tied up anyway, so just try and get a safety in. Well, that is a good point. Now that you mention it as well, it does look Dutch, because you know Dutch like to have extra vowels in their vocabulary, so the double O would be the clue there as well. Now, let's have a look at this 6 ball. I think he can come off the short rail at the end. If he gets too much spin into it, he'll miss the 7 and 8. He's actually played it not too bad. He's just got a difficult 7 ball. Well, this and all around the table, but he scratched, so that's given Mr. 9 Ball ball in hand with a chance to open up the gap. And he's gone too far again. Too much juice on it. Now if he plays this plain ball, he needs to watch the scratch as well into this bottom left. I think it's going to be perilously close to a scratch. Well, it is, I must admit, it is handy when you choose your VP4 name to watch the stream, because then I know who you are. And then it saves you having to tell us who you are. So one was got a second chance here. It's a little bit tricky, this. The safest route is to try and come around the angles, but you don't want to run into the 10. And now he's... Well, he's got a virtually impossible cut here, I think. This is very thin. Cue ball running all around the table. But this to square the match if he can get it. Cue ball's going to be safe. And it's back to 3-all. So the plan is that provided Bedhead turns up, we'll go to the Potman Bedhead match and we'll keep an eye on what happens here. Let me have a quick look, hang on a sec. Bedhead usually arrives and sits in the away mode at the bottom. But I don't see him there yet. And I don't see him in a room. So he's going to turn up cold if he does turn up. Or it's going to be a forfeit. Oh well, if he's already told you, then hopefully he'll get here on time within that 30 minutes. I'm already starting to yawn. It's getting to 9 o'clock and the brain is closing down. It's in shutdown mode. I'm virtually running on standby here. Well, no problem getting position in the 4. He just needs to leave that cue ball up the table slightly anyway, so he gets that angle. And he's got the angle. And now, well, ideally he wants to draw back up the table off this 5 so that he's the top side of the 6 as we look. And that means it's simple to get back onto this 8. Now you can just drop the 6 in. No pace on it at all. And if he goes through a little touch, he'll have an angle to come up for that 7 for the 8 ball. Well, I think he's gone the other side of the 7, but he should be okay, but he's hampered over the 10 ball. But I think he should be fine to get up for that 8. There's plenty of room. But the mistake is made because of that. And, well, that's what happens. You just get into that awkward situation. Ah, but you see, now your name's too long. What you should do is drop the original name and just keep it as Xavierix. Yeah, I was. Now that you mention it, I was actually thinking of going and getting a coffee. Um, oh, it's going to be a little cut back, but it should be fine. But this to open up a gap. In fact, do you know what? I am going to do that right now. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm just going to go get a coffee. Right, I'm back. I've got my coffee, and before we start, I am not going to mute my mic to take a drink of my coffee, because muting the mic makes an even more annoying noise than me slurping my coffee. Let's have a quick look. So we're now at about 3 minutes past 9, and good evening. I still don't see Bedhead for the match that we're going to be going to. No, he's still not arrived yet, so he's got until 9:30 to get here, if he can get in. In fact, I don't see Potman anymore either. Where the hell's he went to? I don't see him listed in the players list either in the lobby. Oh well. Anyway, what's been happening here since I went? And it's now 5-3 to Mr. Nineball. That caffeine kick might keep me awake. So, in fact, Potman should be in that room, because the room is up. And, yeah, right, so, well, it shows he's in the lobby, but he should be in the room, although he's got plenty of time to get in there. Bedhead, according to Potman, was running late and is going to be about 10 minutes late, so here's hoping he can make it, or else we'll just stick with this match. Well, the 5 will go into this corner, but I think it'll squeeze past the 10, but that's a toughie. But he's looking to just play safe. And that needs to spin into the corner, but he didn't get any English on it. If he'd that little bit of inside left English, wait a minute, right English, he would have spun into the corner over to the rail and made it a bit more difficult on that 5. Of course, Mr. Nineball is going to be cutting that 5 towards the pocket, but he's calling this bottom left hand corner pocket as if he's going to play a bank, but he's going to have to dig deep into this cue ball to avoid a scratch. He needs a big deep draw off this 5, and he's managed that. Of course, he's nowhere near the bank now. Has he got lucky? Well, it's an easy enough jump and an easy enough cut in a 5, so there shouldn't be a problem there. Cue ball will certainly look as if it's going to clip the 9, but he should have a shot in the 6. He'd be very unlucky not to have a shot on the 6 ball after this. Oh dear. Well, back to the drawing board as far as jump shots is concerned. I might have even been able to jump that. That was not a good one. And that's one that's going to slip away there for one. What? Ball in hand for Mr. Nineball, and well, I can't see where the problem's going to be. The problem might be this shot and getting good on the 7, but he's got a whole area of table to get on. The worst thing that can happen is he drop behind the 9, but he's going to be well away from that. Simple enough 8, and just make sure he can come off that 8 ball and get across for the 9. Well, this is a little draw shot with I like to put a little bit of English just to check it across. He's gone square, and that's the problem with that shot. Unless you're really get that cue ball under control, you're going to let the cue ball squirt away, and that's what Mr. Nineball's done there. He's got a very thin cut, needs to get the pace in it, and he's got it, and he's going to be the short side of the 10, but I think he's okay. And this will give a 3-rack lead. And remember, we're on the 1-loss side tonight for this match, and hopefully for the Bedhead Potman match. So Mr. 9 Ball's more than halfway home, leading by 6 racks to 3. And I'll have another quick look up and down here and see what we've got. Well, still no Bedhead, and it's getting close to 9:10, British summer time here. I definitely don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's arrived now. So presumably he and Potman will just get in the room and get on with the game. And now would be a good chance, a good opportunity to show people how you can go to another room without leaving the room that you're in. Yeah, he's just arrived. So Potman's sitting in the lobby. I think he's gone to the room, and we'll have a look at the bracket. And that's the match that's on just now, the match that we're in. This down here is the match that we are joining right now. So now we are in the Potman Bedhead match from the bracket. All you do is click on the little circle when the room's up, and it will take you straight to it without having to leave the other room and go to the lobby. So Bedhead won the lag, and the first dry break of this match. And like I say, we'll keep an eye on that other match and see how it's going on, but I would assume this was a wee bit more friendly match, this one. Although there shouldn't be any friendliness on the table. Now, as I said earlier on, I said in the lobby, and I said to Potman as well, I said his main objective is to get 5 racks in this match no matter what happens. But he's going to have to cut out the silly shots. He said he had a heavy cold, and he said he had a few beers in the other match. Well, here's hoping he's sober, and here's hoping he can handle the runny nose. He's going to have to play wise and with a bit of common sense here, because Bedhead will make mistakes. It's just a question of whether Potman can really capitalise on anything he's going to get here. So this match again, 1-loss side, race to 10, alternate breaks. 10 balls a call shot game, and really you should be calling all non-obvious shots, mainly combos and banks. And it's always advisable to call a pocket and the ball when you're playing a kick shot, just in case. Now the king of the kick shots in this tournament has been semi-pro. In fact, even last night we were playing semi-pro myself, and I can't remember who else it was. we were in a challenge room, and he managed to pull out a kick shot and call the pocket again, which is about the third or fourth time I've seen him do it. He's done it. He's certainly done about three or more in the tournament so far, and he's had the greatest success at picking out the kick and the pot and calling it. So Potman in trouble here. You know, he could. Probably the easiest one is to jump that 2-ball, call the 9-ball, and try and push that 1 down onto the 5. That looks like, in fact, it looks as if he's trying to play a billiard at the moment, but he might still be lining up. I think he's trying to play the billiard. Let's have a look at that one. That one, well, it's tight. But I think the billiard, he'll run into the side rail possibly and run into the 5. I don't know whether he'll be able to get enough. Yeah, see, that's what's actually happened. He actually got it too thin. And now, well, Bedhead has a gap. It's a thin cut as well as a narrow gap to get that 1 ball onto the 9. And then he has to get lucky just to come back across, avoid hitting the 10 ball and still have a shot on the 1. So this isn't a definite good outcome here. In fact, he's thought better of it. He's not even thinking about that. He's just playing the same. Now this is what I talk about again. You know, why take the risk when you've got a better opportunity of playing a half decent safety? And that's what Bedhead did, which is what a lot of players don't do. A lot of players have got one single mind. If they see a sniff of a pot, even though the thing's difficult, and even though they're not guaranteed to get a shot in the next ball, they still go for it. When a decent safety can yield more benefit in the long run. Bedhead's using his head. And I'm going to have a slurp at my coffee again. Oh, that's good. And I think that Potman, it would be great for his sake if he could get a good start. If he ends up chasing right from the start, it might not be good for him. I think if he gets a good start, I can give him a wee bit more confidence. Because Bedhead's a strong favourite, no doubt about that. But as I say, Potman will get the odd chance. I don't think he can play any worse, Potman, than what he did in his last match. He played some awful shots. Well, the jump onto the 1 and a thin cut to the 7 and get that cue ball running, that's the idea here for Bedhead. And that's ended up not too bad. In fact, that is pretty good. But that's worked out the way he planned it, because that's exactly how he played it. Just use that 7 ball as a stopper, keep that 1 ball at the top of the table, and try and get lucky with the cover on these balls down the bottom here, and it's all worked out. I mean, Potman can jump over the 10, but it's already a difficult shot anyway, even without jumping the 10. Now, Potman could play a similar shot here. He could play that extreme right edge of the 1 and try and get down here. And needs a bit of luck. And that's unlucky. But again, it was the right idea. You know, at least he was thinking about what he was doing there. Because that's where the route to safety was. Getting around the corner at the top end and down here. And try and get some cover. He's just unlucky he didn't get that. Well, it's going to... I mean, if you look at these balls down here... Let me get my little doodle working. that 5 ball isn't going in, so that's not a combo. No, that's too tight to try and squeeze that past the 9, so there's a bit of a problem down here that's going to have to be disturbed. And this 10 ball's in Bedhead's way here. If that 10 ball wasn't there, he'd be straight into these balls. He's trying to get off the rail, and that's the problem. The problem was the 10 ball just was in the path, and he clipped it. And well, the carom is, I don't know whether that's on either, is it? Well, I think the problem there, you look at that, there's no way he can get to that 9. Well, he thinks he can try and bump into the 5, but as I say, the 5 ball's going to that jaw. And the 9 ball just acted as a blocker. But something's going to go in this time, and it's odds on it's going to be the 9. Potman has to play this, as far as I'm concerned, he has to play this dead weight. He has to roll that 4 onto the 9 so that that 4 ball doesn't squirt away. It's got to be totally dead weight. Now he's called the 5. He's well, I don't know what. See, that's the first mistake. Unless I'm out of sync here, the 4 ball's still in the table, and he's forgotten about the 4. So straight away, Potman's concentration is out the window. He's totally forgotten about the 4 ball. And I was wondering why he had called the 5 and not called the 4-9 combo. And he's probably sitting scratching his head wondering what the hell's going on. Yeah, 4 balls definitely was still in the table. And, well, Potman's advice that he got was not to do anything silly again. And he's going to lose this first rack on something silly. Hey, Potman, you shouldn't be listening to this stream, because I might not be saying nice things. You've got to keep your wits about you and keep focused on what you're doing. You've got a minute shot clock to focus and study the lay of the balls and think about exactly what you're doing. But if you can't see the balls when they're on the table right in front of you, you're beyond help. Nobody can help you there, mate, if you can't see the balls. Well, the call was for Potman to get a good start. And, well, it's ended up in the worst start for the wrong reasons. Self-inflicted injury again here by Potman. Well, there's your first ball in hand opportunity for Bedhead. Scratch off the break. Now, can Bedhead show how to run out on this table? Now, these balls, they look ugly, but this table isn't too bad. Bedhead's just looking around, doing what everybody should do, and just pick out the right way to do this. Because the 5 is open into that corner pocket, the 8's open at the top corner pocket on the left hand side. The only problem up in that area is the 10 ball. It's in an area where you'd maybe want to put the cue ball to try and get the 5s, but there's plenty of room on the left hand side. And the 4 ball's up the top end as well. This is the important one. And Bedhead is just the wrong side of the 3, so he's going to have to play this with inside to try and come over towards that 10 ball possibly. Well, no, he's just played it gentle to leave the 4 in, and that's perfect. I thought he was going to come right across, but he just went gentle with the spin, and now he's in an ideal position to go on this 5. So 5 to the 6 is a crucial one. And again, Bedhead leaving the high cut. Well, he's not bad now. It's run on far enough. Simple enough to drop onto the 7. And if he gets onto the side rail would be perfect here on this 8 ball. Once he's potted the 7, if he can get onto that side rail, he would have an angle on the 8 to spin the cue ball around and up the table for that 9 into the left middle. And that's what he's tried to do, and he's got the angle. So now he can go off the short rail. If he wants, he can run over to the right rail, but he needs to get plenty of pace in this to get it to run down the table. He's got the spin, he's got the pace, and he's perfect. And that's how to pick your way through a table that looked ugly, but every ball had a pocket. It's just about manoeuvring that cue ball, and Bedhead's showing you how to do it, which a lot of players could benefit from just watching this rack and seeing how you think about what you're doing. Keep the cue ball under control, and you can run a table. That's the sole objective in every game of billiards, is being able to get the cue ball in that position to give yourself a shot. And that was a fine example of how to do it. So Bedhead now 2-0 in front, and of course that's the ultimate punishment. Potman broke off, scratched into the right middle pocket. Ball in hand for Bedhead with a wide open table, and he done what was required of him. And now Potman has an open table. No easy starter, but looking to get it safe, but he's left it weak again. That cue ball should have been in behind that 2 and 8. And this 2 ball is open, and this could be another good chance here for Bedhead if he can get this 1. And he's way off. And it's going to finish on for Potman here. So here's Potman's chance. Now again, look at the balls on the table. The balls have all got a pocket. And as long as this cue ball stays open, Potman's going to have no better opportunity to show if he can actually run this table. And the immediate problem now is getting nice on this 3, where the cue ball isn't having to run. He just wants to come really out past that 9 ball. Not too much spin on this. And he needs to be able to get to the cue ball just to kill it if he can. I don't know whether, let's have a look at the angle he's got here. Well, he can run through as long as he runs back up towards the middle pocket. That would be the plan. Well, he's just gently rolling it. Once again, shouldn't be a problem with the 4 or the 5. It's getting out onto that 6. And I think he's going to end up a bit straight. So now the simple one would be to pot the 5 and just roll through a little bit for the 6 into the left middle. And that way you can get the cue ball out into the middle of the table for the 7. It's all about keeping it simple and making that cue ball do as little as possible to be able to go on the next ball. And I think he's just gone a bit too far. It had to be just a little trickle. You see now he has this angle and the cue ball's going this way. It's going up by the 7. He's got to let it run. now he's in no man's land. So this is where you play the sensible shot and you play a half decent safety. There's no point in risking something that's like 80-20 against you getting a good pot and getting position here off this 7. And that will do it. Now this is a bit tricky. Can he see enough of that 7? No, he can't. Well, what he could do is he could feather the 7 just very thin and get loads of spin in the cue ball and try and get it down here, because he doesn't want to set up a combo. You see, that was the only worry I had, is actually not hitting it hard enough like that and leaving a possible combo for Bedhead. That cue ball had to run right back up the table, and Bedhead is going to be, well, he's not interested in the combo. He's just going to punch this 7 around the table, I think. Try and use the 9, but he's drawn it too far. Well, I think the 7 ball's a tight cut into the right middle, and the cue ball is running into that 10 ball, I think. So even then, if you pot this, you're going to be really fortunate to get a shot in the 8. And he's going all out for it, but you can see, if you look at the cue ball, okay, he didn't hit the 10, but he had absolutely no shot in the 8. Now, how's his luck? I think Bedhead is going to thin that in. Now, can he hold this cue ball, though, to have any shot in the 8? It's going to be running by the looks of it. I think he's going for pace. Yep, he's trying to get around the angles, give himself a shot, and that's all he's looking for. Well, that's the coffee dispatched. I certainly needed that. Oh dear. And this is not a gimme, this 9 ball, because you've got to work the cue ball, and once you bring those factors into it, it multiplies the difficulty in the shot. It's simple enough to play a cut in the 9, and he's managed to do it. Now, how's his positioning? Well, that's worked out perfect. So, for Potman's sake, I called for him to get a good start, and well, he blew that by not seeing the 4 ball was still in the table in the first rack, and now he's finding himself 3-0 down in a race to 10. Break goes back to Potman, and he's going to be unlucky because he's had a couple of balls in the break. The 4 ball's gone, the 8 ball's gone, and he's got no shot in the 1. But I'll tell you what though, he needs to be really careful here, because he's playing the push out, and I keep saying it stream after stream, the push out has got to be a common sense push out, and because the table is in an excellent position here for a run out, and I think Bedhead's going to be taken in for that bank. That looks a good bank on the 1. And well, there were other safety options here for the push out, but pushing it to a bank is leaving a bit of bait for Bedhead, and I think he's going to be taking the bait here. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. It looks too good a bank not to go for it. Well, he hasn't called it, so he's not taking the bait, but then again, he hasn't played a good safety either. And another chance for Potman here to try and hold himself together and at least get a shot on this too. If he can get anywhere on the top side of the table, he's bound to have a shot in the two. But can he avoid all the traffic? Because the cue ball's going up the left-hand side. He's run into the 7. It's done him a favour, and that will do. That's a little bit of running you need. And now the problem ball is the 5. Because that 5 ball is going to scupper his chances of a run out here. If he can't get top side of this, because it ain't going in past the 9, and he's not going to get on it into the middle. He has to get up top side. He has to finish somewhere up here. I can't see any other option. I mean, if he comes with right English and goes up that way, he could finish down there of the 5 into the corner. And if he got really lucky and finished there, he could have the 5 into the middle, but there's a slim chance of that happening. So it's really tough, this. Needs a bit of luck here. So that he has a couple of choices. He's gone inside, and that 7's done him a favour again. Well, this is as good a chance for him to take this out. But he can't finish. He doesn't want to finish here in the 6. That's the worst place to be. He wants to be able to see the pocket. And that will do. And now he's got a huge area of table, whichever way he wants to go, to have a shot in this 7. I'm no so keen in the draw shot here. It's got to be well controlled. He's played it well. I'll give him that one. And now he's got a little angle. This has to be... You've got to just be brave enough to punch this in a wee bit, just to get the cue ball off the rail. You see, he's letting it just run, but he's still okay. And now what you don't do is do anything that's going to scratch that cue ball in the right middle pocket, and I think he'll be fine, even if he just checks it up a wee bit. But he has to get the pace and make sure he gets enough running in it to get the cue ball up the table, unless he's going to leave it long. And that will do. And same again with this. The scratch is on with this 10 ball here. If he stuns this, you just drop it in dead weight, and that will get him off the mark. And for once, Potman's steadied himself, took his time, got a wee bit of kiss here and there in that 7 ball that did him a favour, but it's no the running that helps you. It's actually taking advantage of it. If you get that little bit of help and that little bit of luck, you've got to back it up and actually do the job. So he's done it, and well done to him for that. So it's 3-1 to Bedhead. Bedhead broke off in rack number 5. And we've got another dry break. Now, the 3 ball ain't going anywhere unless you can somehow find a space between the 7 and 9 and the 3 ball itself to pot it, because it's not going anywhere other than that. I think he's going to hook himself here, is he? No, he's okay. And he's got an angle. The angle's there. The angle's there. You punch that 4 in, the 2 ball in, get that cue ball running. So not like that, but anywhere up in this direction. If he can even get to somewhere like there, he's at least got a shot in a 3. But he needs to get it running. And he'll be really unlucky if he ends up behind the 7 and 9. And I think he's going to be unlucky and end up behind the 7 and 9. Just too much pace. So, it's the old jump stick to the rescue here. Going to have no shot in the 4, but if he gets this 3, he's going to have a good opportunity for a decent safety in the 4. That's all I'm thinking when I'm coming to the table with this shot. I'm not thinking about getting on the 4, I'm just thinking about potting the 3. And if I can pot the 3 and get a sight in the 4, I've got a good opportunity to get at least a half decent safety in. And then worry about what's going to happen in the rest of the after that. And that's unlucky if he scratches. Well, he hasn't scratched, he's played a good jump. And now, if he can bank this 4, because the angle's there to do this as well, he can bank the 4, send that way, cue ball back up here, in behind the 7 and 9. But that 4 ball has to move. Well, he's going for the bank. Now again, he's going for the bank, but the 7 and 9 aren't going anywhere. Is this worth the risk? Because you get that cue ball tight in behind the 7 and 9, and now it's going to be a missed call, and he might find himself in trouble in a minute or two. So he's given Bedhead the choice here, and Bedhead is going to stick him back in because Bedhead doesn't have a shot in the 5, so he's going to give it back to Potman, which is a choice that you have after your opponent has miscalled a shot. If you don't like the lay of the table, stick them back in, and Potman doesn't want to be pushing that 5 towards the 7 and 9 and opening them up. Well, the 5 can pot. The cue ball's possibly going to run into the 10, but Bedhead could play a good safety here as well, though. This is what I'm saying about, he's calling the bank, but he's actually just trying to nail that cue ball in behind the 7 and 9, and that's what I said about Potman being in trouble in a minute or two. If he's got the spin right, Potman's in dire straits here, because that shot there that Bedhead has just played has opened up the 7, and it will go, and Potman can't get to this 5. And this is where Potman should have had Bedhead 2 minutes ago off that 7 ball, or whatever ball it was. He should have used the angle and spun the cue ball down into that corner and try and get the cue ball where he is now. And now he's in the receiving end. And if he doesn't hit this 5, and secondly, if he doesn't get it safe, then his odds in doing anything this rack have sort of evaporated in the one shot. But you've got to see the bigger picture when you're coming to the table. A good opportunity for a safety on that 4 ball, and he went for the bank instead. Ended up with a missed call, and now he's given Bedhead the chance he wants with the ball in hand. And Bedhead just going for the run through. Just get that cue ball up the table, well past the middle pockets, and give a fairly straight shot in the 6 if he can. In fact, he's just going to run into the 8 ball here and use it as a stopper to hold for the 7. I don't know what anybody else thinks, anybody that's watching, but I think Potman had an ideal opportunity on that 4 ball to play the good safety, and he lured himself into playing a bank shot when that 7 and 9 were tied up. Remember, the 7 and 9 weren't potable at that time, so there was no advantage in actually trying to play the bank. Not when you've got a good opportunity to play a decent safety, and look at the end result. This is how he's lost the rack. He's dug his own hole in this one. So Bedhead is going to go to 4-1. Good evening. Welcome. So we're into rack number 6. Of course, this match didn't start until after 9:10. Bedhead was late in the go, but managed to get into the match well within the timeout time. And Bedhead in charge. So no ball in the break. And 2 and 3 are fairly tight. Well, that 2 goes, it's tightish, but of course it only goes when you're looking at it from that angle. So the likelihood of potting that 2 where it is now is fairly slim, unless you can somehow drop that cue ball down somewhere near the 4 ball. Now what I'm going to do is, just while he's playing that shot, we look and see what's happening in that other match. And Mr. 9 ball is on the hill. In fact, Wanwa has forfeited. The results just come through according to the bracket. What's he moaning about now? Okay, I'm here, so I request a DQ for Mr. 9 because him insult me and say, alright, he did. That's true, we've got that in video evidence. And before this happened, he insulted me, which I just accept the proposal at last minute because I hope and forfeit. Right, well, we'll let them worry about that. Anyway, back to this match. I think Bedhead's going to be jumping this, I think. I don't think you can see that one. No, you can't. Of course, as I say, if you get really lucky off this, in fact, even the angle he has there, I don't think he can do anything with the cue ball to get anywhere near this too. He's trying to hold it, and that's as good as he could do. Now, I know what I'd be doing here. I'd be nailing that cue ball into the 3. I mean, that 2 is so extremely thin to cut and squeeze it past that 3. It's much easier just to nail Potman behind that 3 ball with a bit of right English. Well, he's just got it. Thought he'd run too far there, but he's got Potman right where he wants him. Back against the wall. And now the 2 and 3 are in the open. And, well, the only issue looking at the table would be the 6 and 7 ball. And the 6 and 7 ball would be a combo down the rail, provided Potman can't hit this 2 and get it safe. At least he's... Did they call that pocket? I didn't notice whether he did. Well, he'll be happy with that. I don't think you could ask for much a better outcome with that shot. It's a kick safe. And Potman might be in trouble again, provided Bedhead can get this too thin. He couldn't get it thin enough. I think this cue ball is... No, it's going to hold up. That's ended up pretty good as well. Potman's back in trouble here. Can't see any of the 2. Now, can he get the angle off that side rail to get to this 2? I'm not so convinced. I think the angle's easier from the left-hand side by that middle pocket down to run into the two and maybe call the 4-ball. Well, he's determined to go from this side, but I don't know whether he's got enough of that rail to get to two, and he hadn't. I thought it was easier to go from the right-hand side. The way I was looking at it, it looked easier to get to off that rail and call the 4-ball, which was sitting there in case she comboed it in. But to go from this side to try and get to that two was nigh on impossible. You had to play that with left English to check the cue ball off that rail to make the angle. You had to actually force an angle there from that side. So wrong choice of shot for me there. And all it's done is give Bedhead ball in hand again. But he's going to have to deal, well, the 4-ball's now gone awkward, because it's now, and this is not an easy combo, because that 7-ball is just near enough on the point. It's not quite, but the good thing is it's off the rail, so it shouldn't be that difficult to make the combo, but there's always the same problem of actually getting good on it. And he's got a reasonable chance here if he can just punch that 3 in. He's in a pretty good shape here to make this combo, but he has to have a look at and see where that 7-ball is. He just wants to get that 4-ball to clip there, so he's actually aiming for the rail basically, so he can just chip the 7 in. Oh, well, forget my idea, because I didn't think he could squeeze that 4 in. That was a good shot from distance to actually squeeze it in past that 7-ball. That was excellent. And this is the one that's going to be the tough 8. The 8 and 9 ball aren't too handy either, where they're sitting. How does that 8 ball look? Well, it goes, so there's no problem there. And this is going to get away from him. That was the problem. Now, well, this is a little pincher, this, to chip that in. He's going to go for the bank. He's looking at the bank anyway, I think. And this is not easy. You've just got to chip it right on the sweet spot. And he's played it well and almost scratched. Now, that's not where he wanted to be in this 8-ball. And I don't know whether he can make the potting angle without chipping that 9 first. Oh, that's a great shot. How's his luck? I mean, that was a tough shot, that 8-ball. And this is not this is not any easier. Well, he's off the rail, so it's actually not bad. Good evening. Plenty of pace in the cue ball. Perfect in the 10, and it's going to be 5-1. So Potman's goal that I've been talking about before the match was to get 5 racks, and it looks as if he's going to be a hard push to get that, because it's now 5-1 to Bedhead. Well, he had a fallout with Mr. 9-ball. Mr. 9-ball, there was an arrangement of the match which looked as if it happened fairly quickly, and this is all I'm trying to work out. And Mr. 9-ball wasn't happy, accused well, Wanwa, or Fan as he wants to be known as, accused him of trying to get him to forfeit. And then it was all the FUs and this in the room, and when I joined it, and I don't know what happened. You'd need to ask Mr. 9-ball why he was so annoyed. But anyway, Mr. 9-ball was 9-5 up, I think, when Fan forfeited in the end. So it's not a pleasant experience. So Bedhead going to play the billiard from the 2 on to the 8, I think. Well, he's got it too square, but he's left it safe. So a reminder to anybody watching, we've got at least 3 matches tomorrow that hopefully I'm going to be able to live stream. One of them might overlap one of the other matches in the evening, but hopefully we'll get them all in. I think the first one's in the afternoon tomorrow. I'll be here. What's the problem up this end here? Well, the problem is that Potman can't see any of that too. He's in dire straits here. Now, well, all he's done is he's opened up the combo for the 259 because Bedhead can't really get the 2 down the rail. So it's going to be the 259 just for the sake of potting a ball. But is he going to have a shot on this 2 and 5 after it? That 2 might bounce away off the rail. No, he's ended up playing it well. He's cleared everything out and left the 2 on. Oh, Stubbs has been a bad loser all the years I've known him. But as far as he's concerned, this tournament's in the bag for him. But if he gets too loose against Spectre Dawn will certainly be more than capable of punishing him. Bedhead, now what does he do here? Well, he can run through with a little bit of right English just to check the cue ball and sort of leave it there and have a shot in the 8. No point in trying to run through. In fact, he's not even going to get to the rail. He's in a half decent position to pot this and run out for the 10. Well, anybody that plays Stubb, I mean, he's very easy to play from the point of view that if you don't get involved in any conversation with him or you don't react to anything that he says and just play the game, then he's basically just chirping away into thin air, you know, when you're playing him, as long as you don't respond to him and get involved. And the simplest thing is just click the mute button next to his name and then you don't have any problem with him at all. He can chat away all he wants. So it's looking dire here for Potman. And the one rack that Potman won is the one decent rack where he's actually had a chance and he's run the table. He could have had at least 2 racks on the board had he not made an arse of that chance that he had where he completely paid no attention to the 4 ball that he still had to pot and went to play the 5 instead, so that cost him the first rack. Gifted that to Bedhead that way, but he's had one decent rack that he's actually won. And now Bedhead has got him in dire trouble again here. And once again, it's the same problem. If he can't get to this 2, is it not better to just try and lock something up here? That's what I'd be thinking. But it's so awkward. He's over the 9 ball. It's so awkward. He might be better just running that 8 ball up the table towards the 6 and trying to create a bit of clutter. But he's leaving himself open into a 3 foul doing that, but it might be his only hope. Well, that actually is a wee bit awkward, because Bedhead can pot the 2, and it's a question of whether he wants to try and get out into the table and play the 3 into the same pocket, or whether he wants to leave that 3 as a combo in the 4. And the problem with that shot is, though, if he plays the 2 and leaves the cue ball there, and then he plays the combo on the 4, the 3 ball is bouncing and going out there somewhere. He doesn't know where the 3 ball's going. So that's the risk. I think he's going to try and get up the table and play the 3 into the same pocket. And that needs to run, because that's nowhere near it. But it's one of his favourite shots. He loves leading these really high cuts and thin cuts to try and keep a run going. And of course he's now got to find a gap to get on the 4. I think he's just going to play safe here and spin down towards the 5. And behind the 6 again. It's got Potman locked up. And once again though, his chances of getting to this 3, well, he can kick it from the side rail and hit the 3 that way, because he's got the angle to do that, I think. But I don't know why he's looking at the short side here, because I don't think that's the best way. He can take the risk of doing that and hopefully getting half of the 3 ball and running the cue ball away. Well, he's out with the jump stick, but I don't think he's jumping that anywhere. I'd be going for the half ball in the 3, coming across, trying to hit that half ball and get the cue ball to run down somewhere. Be a miracle if he can jump this 6 in the first place. Yeah. And now he's just opened everything up. So once again, not the right choice of shot in my book. It was far easier to kick that 3 ball, even though it was next to the 10. 3 ball sitting there. If you can get it half ball, the cue ball's going to run off there and come down here somewhere. That would be a chance of getting a possible safety. And he's tried to play a really, really tough jump because he was so close, and all he's done is open up the table for Bedhead and said, help yourself. Now, you guys tell me if you disagree with me, but that was a shot. You have to see the path to safety, or possible safety. Okay, he might not have got any cover, but to me it was a far better percentage shot than trying to play an impossible jump. Unless you're practicing them all night, you know, every second shot, you're not going to jump that. You're not going to get it right on the point to be able to jump something as close as that. And I mean, somebody like Bedhead's going to do this all night. If all you're going to do is going to give them ball in hand with a wide open table, Bedhead will just sit and pot these balls till the cows come home, provided he doesn't get out of shape like this. He's just going to have to drag that cue ball and kill the pace on it, try and come back off the rail and out for the 9. try and get in behind it with a spin, and that's perfectly controlled. A little bit of drag, a little bit of spin to come around behind the 9. And it's now going to be 7-1. Sometimes when you get in a situation in Iraq where you're in a desperate situation like Potman was there, sometimes playing the right shot is your only option, and I think that was the right shot that he had, and he refused it. It was much easier to have a kick at the 3 than it was to jump. But again, it's all a question of how you see the table, and looking at the table, that's the only good option I could see for him. Potman at the table. I don't know whether he can see this 1 at all. Yes, he can. So no problem with the 1, no problem with the 2. And if he gets up the table, no problem with the 4. And then it's a question of whether he can go on that 5 in such a way. Now, ideally, the 5 ball being played from here would be perfect, because then he could run in and move that 6. But to try and leave a shot in the 6 is much more difficult without disturbing the 9 and 6. Now, he has to get up the table. Is he going to leave this 4 long? I don't know whether he's got a good angle in this 2 to punch the cue ball up the table here. Yeah, he's now in no man's land again. This is a scratch if he's going to try and cut that, I think. Or it's going to be very close to a scratch. Well, he's went for it into the corner. Is it going to get there? No. But we're going to see how Bedhead deals with this situation. Well, I don't think whether that 7 is going to make the pocket any bigger unless he wants to run the 5 onto the 7. No, he's going up the table, and Bedhead looks as if he's going to try and leave the cut on this 6 here, because he's got the wrong side of the 5, so he's going to try and come up the table somewhere here in this area to get a cut in that 6. If he can get in between the lines there, again, commentator's eye and Bedhead's control of the cue ball has done the trick. That's exactly where he could really get the cut on that 6 ball. And now he's perfect in the 7, just to flick it in, drop onto the 8, draw back for the 9, and get the cue ball either across to the left hand side or back down to the bottom of the table for that 10 ball into the middle or into the top left, whatever he wants to do, just however the cue ball lands. But he should be home and dry in this one. Well, it looks as if it's going to be into this bottom left, so he's not going to manoeuvre this cue ball too much, just let it run across, because that way you're not risking the cue ball travelling and running into obstacles like pockets. But again, he's just gone short. He needed another foot to travel, but he should be okay. But that's where the mistakes happen, when you don't get yourself the right shape. And again, he's left himself that awkward angle that catches him out. You just cannot keep picking him out all night. And now Potman, well, if he calls the bank, he's only going to get one shot at it, of course. It has to go in the pocket that you call. And if he's going to try and thin cut that, that is a big ask, because the cue ball is going to have to have the pace. And again, there's a high risk of scratching here. Now, has he called the pocket yet? I haven't noticed it. Well, he's trying to do this for left English to help it in, but the cue ball is still risking a scratching, because it could go into that top left-hand corner this time. No, he's decided the safety, and that was a wise move. Far too risky to go for that in desperation. Again, I'm falling asleep there. I presume he called that. He's called the bank here. Yep. And the cue ball, the 10 ball's going to run safe. Now, how does that look for a bank? Well, I think he's got to go for it. It looks pretty good from where it's sitting. He's got to call the bank into the middle, surely. All or nothing. And we'll see if it's going to go. No, he's not. He's playing it safe. Well, he's catching me out. He's caught me out twice. And that might have been as good a bank as any there to have a go at. Well, Bedhead's called the pocket, but I think he's just going to nuzzle this along the rail. Is he? No, he's winding up, I think. He's winding up. Yeah. Big risk. Well, this time the pot is on for Potman. Can he put it away and get his second rack on the board? And always remember about the cue ball, you want to just, it's either going to go in or it's not going to win. So you don't let the cue ball run, you just roll it in and don't risk any scratches. And he's hung it up. And I'm afraid the fat lady's warming up. I can hear her in the next room. But it's all ifs and buts and maybes, but I thought he'd a very good bank on there. Refused it. And then when he got the good chance, he couldn't put it away. And it's now 8-1. And Potman breaks off in rack number 10. Potman thinking of quitting VP4. How many times have we all said that? Well, another 2-inch run in that cue ball and have been fine in the two. Well, I've never said that about VP4. I've never said that about any of the virtual pool games. I've I've been playing them for that long now, it's a drug that you can't give up. But it's going to come to an end at some time. At some point, Virtual Pool 4 isn't going to be here any longer, but hopefully you guys will have something maybe to look back on YouTube. There's not many matches of Virtual Pool 3 on YouTube for a lot of reasons, mainly because the recording software back then was pretty crap. Most of the folk just used fraps. There wasn't good streaming or recording software. In fact, most of the time it was just recording software. There wasn't anything, I think, that was viable as a streaming software, simply because the main problem back then was the internet connections were crap, and you didn't have a good enough bandwidth to be able to stream. But there are some clips of matches on YouTube, but not much at all. Concentrator used to, most of the stuff he streamed was his stuff, playing by himself rather than actually any matches. But there's the odd one or two. But as I say, at some point in the future, you guys will be looking on my old channel and picking out the odd match or two to watch. And you might be saying, remember the 10-ball World Championship, remember the 8-ball bar table World Championship, because we've still got a double world champion in this tournament, even though he's in the one-loss side. And that's semi-pro. Yeah, at some point in the not too distant future, Steve's going to shut up shop. He's going to retire, which he's probably not far off that now. He's going to retire, shut up shop, and he's going to live in Hawaii or somewhere like that, and spend his millions over there. And VP4 will be no longer. Or Virtual Pool will be no longer. Because once there isn't a server for it, there isn't any online game for it. And all you'll be able to do is just play offline. I'll believe that when I see that happening. I think I'll be long gone before that ever happens. I mean, you've got to bear in mind, you lose track of time. I mean, this game was released in 2012, so we're already well into 7 years of its lifespan. And that's a long time in modern gaming, because, most games companies have got in those 9 years, those 7 years, you've had at least 4 different versions of a game getting launched. But there are the trend for a lot of games, and it tends to be a lot of small companies that are doing it, where they just, especially a lot of the early access stuff you get on Steam, a lot of the games are periodically updated. I know a lot of those little gaming companies are struggling to survive, to actually get people interested in a game. And Virtual Pool 4 is no different than a lot of those small games on Steam that are on early access for 4 and 5, 6 years, struggling to get a point where they're happy to release the game. I mean, Virtual Pool 4 was in early access basically for like at least 4 of the 7 years because it was constantly being updated and whole stacks of bugs being fixed. And I mean, it's as close as being bug free as it ever will be, certainly compared to Virtual Pool 3. Yeah, there's lots of games that are years and years old, but they've got a solid community that love playing the game, and that's all that Virtual Pool has ever had. It's just like that solid community of like 40 or 50 people who regularly play it or drop in and play from time to time. But at the same time, it's lost a lot of people. A lot of regulars over the years have gone to other games, given up the game altogether. And there are the odd, 1 or 2 new players drop by. Some of them drop by, play for a little while, and then you never see them again. So, while I've been chatting away and talking to myself here, Potman has yet another chance to get another rack in the board, and he needs to get around and out, and he needs to overhit this slightly if he can, and that is ideal. So he's going to get his second rack on the board, I think. We'll give him this. And it's now gone back to Bedhead for the break. It's now 20 past 10, so it's now beyond my bedtime. I need to get this match over and done with and get out of here. So I set Potman a target of 5 racks. I think he's still going to be hard pushed to get that. Well, you'd need to have a lot more than 50 people to buy VP4 out. You need to have a few $100,000 to be able to do that. So I think there's a slim chance of that happening as well. I don't think VP4 is a crowdfunding. What's the word? I'm looking for a word, but I can't think of the word. I don't think it's a good crowdfunding opportunity, bearing in mind the amount of people that show interest in it. The vast majority, remember, of VP4 are offline players who never ever see the light of day as far as online goes. They get all their enjoyment playing the AI, or maybe their mate sitting next to them on the computer and just playing them like that. So Bedhead leading by 8 racks to 2 in this race to 10. And well, once this match is over, we'll have a quick look at the bracket because it's quite important, because we've got a few matches have been arranged for tomorrow and Sunday, and hopefully I'll be able to get the vast majority of them in. Well, Bedhead totally focused on getting onto that 6. He's missed the 5. Now can Potman get this sweet enough to get back onto this 6? He's going to have to dig, and he's going to be drawing down near this corner pocket here, I think. Needs to be careful. I don't think it's worthwhile going forward. He's got to draw, and he's played it nice. Now, the simple shot, if you're going to keep it simple, is you pot it and you stun up to there. You just run through. You've got to stun it though. Use that angle that's there, because the angle there is going to do its natural thing. He's playing the draw shot. Now if he gets this wrong, he'll draw into the 7, and he's left it short. You've got to be brave enough to play the right shot when you have the helping angle there for you. And now he's got the cue ball running again. Oh, you work at Microsoft, do you? Oh dear. Well, I'm pretty certain he went for the pot there. But it's gone safe. Bedhead looking at the possibility of the bank. Well, I don't think that's banking past a 9. That's extremely tight. Called to safety, looking for the thin edge and just looking for distance. He's looking to feather this 7 as light as he can, and that will do. It's always good to have distance for your opponent when they're trying to play a safety at this distance. It's so difficult to lightly catch that 7 and stop it moving too far. But he's looking to come off the right hand side as we look. No, he's not. He's trying to cut it. Well, 10 out of 10 for that. But is he going to have a shot? Oh dear. Well, the 8 goes. And I think you've just got to have a blast at this and hope. I'd be putting a bit of draw on it if I could to try and steer it away from the pocket, but just ride your luck that you're going to have a shot in this 9. Well, he's trying to thin it in, and I don't think he's got away with it. He should have had a blast at that and took that risk rather than trying to baby things. I mean, look, he's sitting perfect in the 9, but so difficult to play it at that pace and get it to the pocket. Well, Bedhead's going to run around a corner here and out behind the 9, and that'll do. So this is going to take Bedhead on the hill, needing one more. And now we're at the point in the tournament where there's far too many good players on this one-loss side now. It's a tough ask, even for Bedhead, to survive all the way to the final. There's a lot of tough matches coming up. But the break is now back with Potman in rack number 12. Looking for a ball and a bit of luck. Well, he's got the luck, the 6, and the whatever ball it was went in after it. What went in? The 4 and the 6. And he's got a none too inviting shot in the 1 here. Again, he's got a safety. You just cut that 1 to the rail, let it go to there somewhere, and get that cue ball down here. That should be the plan. In fact, if he plays this with a bit of right English, he could go off the rail and come that way a wee bit. He's called the pocket. Well, that'll be a good one if that 1 goes in past that 7. Oh, he's done is just set it up. Not the shot I would have played. Again, I'm in those tough shots, I'm looking for a safety rather than going all out for something like that, where all you could do was end up overcutting it, and the 7 ball then acts as a stopper for the 1. So it's just giving Bedhead the start that he wants. Three ball comfortably goes past the 10, so no problem there. And then he wants to get as straight as he can on this 3. And that will do, because all he's then doing is just killing the cue ball, stunning the 3 in, and rolling the 5 down the rail, and he's on the 7. It's all simplicity here. And now a little baby down the rail for the 5, and he'll have a nice angle in the 7, which he can then do. I think the simplest thing is just to drop the 7 in and leave the 8 long, rather than trying to do anything fancy and come this side, because he can easily block himself with the 9. If he just pots the 7 and rolls over here, he's got the 8 down the rail. That's how you keep it simple. And if he leaves a nice angle on the 8, then he gets the cue ball out for the 9, which he's done. So the 9 may well go into the same pocket, or if he stuns it hard enough, he'll have the 9 into the right middle. So Bedhead has won this match by 10 racks to 2. Potman never got to his goal. He had one good rack that he won. And again, a couple of wrong choices of shot in my opinion, but that's it. Bedhead marches on. And we'll have a look at this bracket before I go to bed. Let's have a quick shufty at this, because well, the Mr. 9 ball fanfare won my match. It's over, and Mr. 9 ball is going to play Interchange X next. We've got Larry and DJ Simon are going to play tomorrow night at 8 PM on the one loss side. We've got Bedhead has moved through, so he's waiting on his next opponent. And he'll have a wee while, I think, for that. We've got a match tomorrow afternoon between Snake Eyes and Romario. That's the first match tomorrow, which is at 3 o'clock British summer time. That would be, what would that be? 10 o'clock East Coast, 7 AM Pacific time. So that's that match, the first match tomorrow. And then we have a match at 4 PM, which is a winner's side match between VP Monster from the States and also Acero from Japan, race to 14. And then tomorrow, what was the third match? I'm sure we had 3. Am I just imagining it? Maybe I am. Right, because that one's for the 22nd. Maybe I get mixed up. Right, so we have the one at 3 and the one at 4 in the afternoon. Aye, and then we've got Larry and DJ Simon at 8. So that is 3 matches, isn't it? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Aye. Right, so that's it, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you can join me for some of the matches. Remember, if you don't get the chance and you still want to watch one of the matches, I'll have them on my playlist on my YouTube channel. I'll add this match that we've had tonight. We've got some of that Mr. 9 ball match, which we watched a bit of. And then we've got the Bedhead Potman match, which I'll add to the playlist tomorrow when I get home from work. So the first match will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So until then, gents and whoever, we might have ladies, you never know. I'll bid you good night, take care, and I'll see you again sometime.